What's good, y'all? Thanks for stopping back through to kick it with me. We are going to discuss the conclusion of the Mitchell Brothers story, Iyanla Fix My Life. This is part 3. So I'm just going to talk about it, okay? Because there's so much that was addressed in this 3-part series about these young guys. And I'm going to just start at the top, okay? So crack addiction, number 1. We see the devastation that the parents caused in the kids' lives, right? And that's because the mother, we know for sure, spent her life smoking crack. I believe the father too was also on drugs. But something I just want to offer is that, like I said, we saw the devastation caused in the kids' lives because of the parents' failures. But something I just want to offer is the devastation of crack cocaine and the condition that it put the black family in, okay? And that's just at a higher level, okay? And the reason why I wanted to point that out is because this story has resonated with so many people, just from the videos I've watched on YouTube, also many of the comments that have been left on my videos. And I just know personally because I've seen this with my own eyes. And I believe it's resonated with so many people because many of us have dealt with the devastation of crack cocaine somewhere along the line. So that's just to offer further context to the conversation, okay? Now, I know that the way crack addiction manifests itself is different in many ways because it just depends on the person and the circumstances and whatever. Some crack addicts can function. They can hold down a job. They just smoke crack. Some are in the streets. They're, their lives are totally different. Like it's just different for different people. But the one constant is that crack cocaine has devastated our communities and the condition of the black family. So, and I'm not trying, please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be on this camera preaching or whatever have you. I'm just speaking from experience, from the things that I've seen in my life, okay? And I know what this shit has done, okay? And here we are, crack hit, somewhere around 82-ish, somewhere around there, and here we are 30-some years later with the generation of the crack baby all grown up, okay? And we're seeing this play out in just a brief snippet, a brief look into the lives of the Mitchell brothers and their sister, what crack can do, okay? So I don't know, man. It's just heartbreaking because so many babies are born addicted to crack. So many mothers are on drugs and don't have any help. And this leads me to something else about the foster care system. So, okay, it's like a slippery ass slope. Okay, so it's the devastation of drugs, and then that causes parents to be absent in their kids' lives. And then what ends up happening is they get shoveled into this system that is broken and is set up and designed by, it's like this hierarchical system that's set up and designed by people who have no fucking clue what it's like, okay? And think they know what's best for the kids that are being funneled into this system. And we see with the Mitchell brothers that this shit is fucked up. Okay, so anyway, that's just that. I just had to talk about that real quick. And then in this episode, we also see the situation of mother-daughter dynamics, okay, when crack is in the picture, okay? Already, mother-daughter relationships are already difficult, okay? But when you have a drug-addicted mother, that just makes it even more difficult, okay? Because it's just a different kind of bond with a mother and a daughter, and it requires different finesse with a mother and a daughter. And when you have a mother such as Miss LaRonda that put crack before her daughter, it just introduces this whole new dynamic that just blows your fucking mind, okay? So we'll get into that in a second, their relationship, and what we saw on this episode with Miss LaRonda and Kizzy. And another constant theme that I've seen throughout these 3 episodes is survival. These boys, the boys in particular, were in survival mode, okay? Because they weren't getting what they needed from the foster parents, and their mother and father were gone. So they just really were surviving, okay? And Kizzy's condition, it was just a little bit different because she was being provided for by her grandmother, but she was still trying to survive on her own as a young girl without her mother. And that's devastating, okay? So that was just a brief, high level, just something that I wanted to talk about just off the break, because it's just what I noticed watching these 3 episodes. So anyway, the episode begins with Kizzy, LaRonda, and Marcus continuing their conversation. And basically, this was a conversation where Kizzy was trying to communicate to Miss LaRonda, you abandoned me. And Miss LaRonda, she was trying to plead her case, okay? But Iyanla had to stop her and say, listen, you need to just really own your shit, okay? And stop trying to explain why you weren't there, and just acknowledge that you did abandon her. Because we saw Miss LaRonda, she kind of got, it kind of pissed her off, kind of, sort of, when Kizzy was trying to drive that point home that she abandoned her. So that was the start of the conversation. And then Iyanla pointed out to Miss LaRonda that this is all kids want from their mothers, and she sat Kizzy in LaRonda's lap and had her hold Kizzy, okay? But tell me if y'all noticed this, but even though she was sitting in her lap and they were trying to make that connection, you could still see the disconnect with between Kizzy and LaRonda, okay? It happened, and I think it was a good moment, but there's still a disconnect, and that to me was obvious. So Marcus was still in the room, and Kizzy and Marcus were still butting heads. And Marcus said that the reason why he constantly butts heads with Kizzy is because he's jealous, okay? When it just, I can see how that emotion would bubble up, because like I said, Kizzy was provided for, whereas Marcus and the guys, they didn't have what Kizzy had. So it just, you know, that's just a natural occurrence. But when it all came down to it, it was pointed out that, like I said in part 2, that they're arguing their pain. They're arguing the same pain from different vantage points, okay? And they just want to be heard. Each person wants to be heard and understood, okay? And it's almost like they're comparing pain. And I believe Iyanla said that later on in the episode. It's not about a comparison of pain. or my hurt is greater than your hurt. It's just the fact that we have all been hurt, okay? And it's just trying to get on that same level with each other to understand that I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because I want to love you. You know, I don't know how, but that's why I'm here. So, that was that, okay? And Iyanla had to keep reminding Marcus to change the battery, okay? Because he was getting angry. But that was pretty much that segment of the show. And then Michael Jr. and LaRonda have a conversation, and this is where he got an opportunity to speak his piece to his mom and say, you basically just treated me like I was invisible. Like you lied, you stole. You weren't there for me when I was starving in foster homes and getting molested. And you know, the one thing about crack addiction is that addicts will avoid, okay? Addicts will avoid and make excuses because they don't want to deal with the embarrassment and the shame of being drug addicted, okay? And we saw that throughout the episode that LaRonda was making excuses, although she did say that she took full responsibility, but she still was making excuses throughout, and Iyanla had to remind her, look, you need to really just wear that shit, okay? So but I was glad that LaRonda and Michael Jr. had the opportunity to sit and talk, and Michael Jr. got a chance to just kind of speak what had been on his heart, because we know that for a long time he's been silenced, okay? So that was good for him and good for LaRonda, because LaRonda apologized to him and for not being the mother that she should have been, okay? So that was cool. And she asked him for forgiveness, okay? And he said he could do that. So then we get back to Kizzy and Miss LaRonda. And this is where I was talking about the dynamics of mother-daughter relationships, because Kizzy is still traumatized from her mother leaving her when she was, excuse me, when she was 13. And she expressed that she wanted a bond with her mother, okay? But she couldn't have that bond with her mother because her mother put the crack smoking before her. And you could see how badly it hurt Kizzy, because she cried. And she said, I want my mommy. You know how when I remember as a young child, sometimes, like, if my mother had to drop me off at daycare, like when she would drop me off at daycare, I would sometimes have these episodes where I would cry, you know, and it took a while for me to calm down because I wanted my mommy, okay? And that shit doesn't go away. Clearly, we see that. It does not go away. As you grow into an adult, you deal with it differently, but that want for your mother does not ever go away, okay? And so Kizzy said she wanted a relationship with her mom to be able to, you know, like, take her out to eat and go get nails done and call her up and talk to her and just have this sort of symbiotic relationship with her. And the reality that Iyanla pointed out in that moment was crushing. She was like, is that what you really want? And Kizzy said, yeah. And she said, well, you're not going to get it. Okay. So that's some shit right there to really, really have to come to terms with, when you discover that the things you deserved and the things you wanted as a young girl, you're not going to get. You're just not. Because they don't have it to give. So what you have to do is kind of just, what you both have to do as adults is just kind of get in where you fit in with each other and just learn to progress from that point on. And you make choices along the way, right? But I felt that devastation that Kizzy felt in that moment, because, I mean, it's just sad, okay? So, then Iyanla sits down and she facilitates this interaction with Michael Sr., Miss LaRonda, and Michael Jr. Now, right here we learned that Michael Jr. has an 8-year-old daughter, okay? But Michael Jr. apparently has some videos floating around on the internet called Denzel 101. Now, he done got outside with a camera and some damn porno music and talking about this how you hump outside, and then he had some other video, you know, which this is what happens when kids who need attention don't get it. You know what I'm saying? We as kids, we would just go off and do shit. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody paying attention. So, you know, we just go off and motherfucker play with fire and find fucking porno tapes, all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And this is real shit that kids do when they're not being paid attention to. And in Michael Jr.'s case, for him to have developmental challenges, that's just the card on the top of the stack, you know. So he had developmental challenges, didn't have a solid foundation, didn't have parents, was getting beat, molested, was starving. Man, so, you know, for him to reach out like that on social media with those videos, he said he would do anything to get famous. And you know, like Iyanla said, I totally agree. Like, I don't really think it was necessarily for the fame. It was for the attention, okay? But it looked like the conversation Iyanla was having with him really hit home. But of course, he's going to still need some ongoing treatment, some ongoing therapy to just make sure that he stays on the right track. And Iyanla, you know, does provide wraparound services. She did mention that when she was talking to LaRonda and Kizzy, because she wants Kizzy to have somebody to help her through the next stages, I guess, of her relationship healing with her mom. So that was cool. Yeah, so, you know, that I don't know. Kids do shit. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, kids just do shit. But when you have a child who needs things and they're not being provided with those basic needs, then, you know, we just do shit. Okay? So, and some of us are more fortunate than others. Like, some of us have family that will look out for us. Some of us have a community that'll look out for us, and some of us don't. It's just unfortunate. So moving on, Iyanla has a symbolic graduation ceremony for the guys, and a small detail, but it was really profound to me, was when they were getting dressed for the ceremony, the tailor was getting the guys dressed, like actually helping them into their suit jackets and, you know, dusting them off, making sure they look sharp, you know. And that stood out to me because I'm sure they haven't had that in their life before. And just to have just an experience like that, like how Iyanla provided them with the experience of having breakfast together as a family, and this instance of getting suited up, You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, obviously I'm not a guy, but I know as a lady, you know, when I was younger and like my aunties would take me bra shopping or take me, you know, and for my first time getting my hair done, you know, or getting dressed for church, my aunties would help me with my dress and help me put on my shoes and my socks and make sure my hair was done. That gave me something. You know what I'm saying? Because here I am in my 30s as a grown woman, and I remember that shit like it was yesterday. I remember the dress. I remember the dress hanging on the back of the door in the plastic because it was there waiting for me to put it on to go to church on Easter Sunday. I remember the night before having my hair done. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. And I remember things like my aunties helping me to pick out the right undergarments to wear with certain clothes as a teenager. That shit means something. So all I'm saying is for them to have that experience with the tailor, to get them dressed, you know, get them suited and looking nice. They look so handsome. They look so handsome. I just thought that was really significant to point out. So they have this symbolic graduation ceremony, and they each sat, you know, and they sat with Kizzy, and from youngest to oldest, they each went down the line and they said a small, they said something to their parents, okay? And it was basically the same thing throughout, is that they want a better relationship. And I know Mikhail mentioned he wants his kids to have a relationship with their grandparents. Marcus, in particular, you know, he pointed out that when he was talking to his dad, he pointed out that Mikhail is his right hand, his father is his left hand. And I felt like they really connected in that moment, because he said, don't give up on me. You know, don't give up on me. And they dapped, you know, they got up, they hugged each other, man. It was awesome. And he asked his mother, Marcus asked his mother just to be more patient with him. Okay. So then when they got to Kizzy, Kizzy said that she wants a better relationship with her baby brothers, and she, as the older sister, is going to make sure that she reaches out and she checks on her younger brothers, and that she wants their kids to know each other, which, you know, that's what family is all about, like getting the kids together, making sure the kids always are able to access each other and touch base. And even if the adults, you know, ain't fucking with each other, them kids remember shit like that. Kids remember, you know, the summertime afternoons getting together at your grandmother's house and all your cousins are around. The kitchen smelling like fried chicken and potato salad and tuna macaroni salad. You know, grandmother making fresh iced tea. Like, kids remember stuff like that. And that's what it's all about, is creating those memories. So I really hope that they are able to do that. You know, and then Iyanla pointed out that now she has the protection of her 5 baby brothers. Okay. And you know, earlier on in the episode, we did see that Marcus and Kizzy did have a moment where he hugged her and she laid her head on his shoulder, and she looked like in that moment, she looked like it was so soothing to her to be able to lay her head on his shoulder. And that was big too. So right here at the conclusion of the show, when Miss Iyanla pointed out that they can, she now has the protection of her brothers, that's major. Okay. And I think that's all she really wanted. Like, aside from a relationship with her mom, she wanted that connection with her brothers, and I think that this experience for all of them has really put them in a position to just soar. And I hope, I really hope that that happens for them, and they make those they keep those connections and continue to strengthen those bonds between them. And so then what happened after that, like once they did the round robin of talking to their parents, it was a moment where Michael Sr. got really emotional, and he said that he doesn't think that they really know just how much he loves them. But even though it may not seem like it on the surface, I know. I mean, I could tell that he does love them, but he just doesn't know how to. He didn't all their lives didn't know how to, but I'm thinking that now they're getting on the road to learning how to do that. And I believe it was either Melvin or Marvin who said, look, you good. Like, you didn't choose us, but we're choosing you right now. And that's major, because at one point he was like, I can leave this fucking house and not give a fuck about none of them no more. Okay, but now that everybody's gotten to this point, I just thought that was real dope. So so Iyanla presents them all with these diplomas, okay? And like I said before in my earlier, I believe it was in part 1, it's the School of Hard Knocks. So Iyanla gave them diplomas for matriculating through the rungs of the School of Hard Knocks, okay? And Melvin got one for problem solving. Marvin got one for perseverance. Mikhail got one for leadership. Marcus got one for negotiation and passion. And Michael Jr. got one for adaptation. Okay, so and from what it looked like as the episode was ending, and they put on the screen, you know, just sort of like updates, it looked like they were all doing pretty well as far as keeping a connection with their dad. And but it looked like the mother was still struggling. They were still struggling with getting to a better place with their mom, because I think Kizzy only spoke to the mother maybe like twice since the show filmed. And you know, it's a process, and people come along at their own pace. Okay, so Miss LaRonda, maybe she just needs a little bit more time. And something else I noticed, that Kizzy looks just like Miss LaRonda. I mean, of course, you can tell that the drugs really withered away Miss LaRonda's beauty. But you can look at her and tell that at one time she was a very, very pretty lady. And in one of the pictures, we did see that. So, you know, I just really wish them the best. And if any of y'all are watching, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really wish y'all the absolute best. And I hope that, you know, this experience has been the same for y'all as it has been for us, like the viewers. You know, you guys really have captured our hearts. And you know, even though this was the conclusion, we still pulling for y'all. So that's it, y'all. That was the conclusion of Iyanla Fix My Life, The Mitchell Brothers, Part 3. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, supporting my channel. Welcome, and thank you to all of the folks who have recently subscribed to my channel. I appreciate y'all so much. Everybody who has left comments. So yeah, that's it, y'all. We'll be back again soon for another video. And again, I thank y'all so much. Y'all take care, love on one another, and I will catch y'all in the next video.